Alright, let's go talk to Hildibrand. Hardiboiled. Ah, Podios. I was hoping you'd drop by. It took a bit of doing, but I was able to widen the crack. I made that storage device and yank out a couple new scraps of data. The first file just happened to be a record of Carnelian's procedure. Seems the bastard's soul has poured into those clot-type monsters. They've got annoying talent for mimicking shapes and faces, which is exactly what Carnelian took advantage of when he tricked us with his fake Ken Maka. Never fear, Inspector Hildibrand here. The other file I pulled had details on yet another monster feed criminal. This mook was nabbed for repeated vehicular violations, riding his air-wheeler too fast, making reckless maneuvers, and they're injuring others. That sort of thing. According to the data, he's running around in the body of a Cactuar. Judging by what we've seen of that researcher's schemes, he'll have dispatched a prickly speed demon somewhere outside the dome, but where? Rejoice, my good detective, for I, Hildibrand, agent of inquiry, come bearing the very direction you seek. I have it straight from the mouth of the real Kimeka, that an ambulatory cactus piloting a flying contraption was supposedly observed striking through the sky on a southerly bearing. Alas, despite hastening to confirm the sighting, our intrepid sheriffs arrived too late to see the needle-covered individual in question. The report was summarily dismissed as fanciful imaginings of inebriated townfolks. The insistent chirp of veteran instinct nonetheless impelled me to investigate. Thus did my faithful assistant and I venture further south to question the colorful crowds of Tuliyola. Tuliyola! It's Tuliyola! Yes. There is no fine sober witnesses eager to tell an airborne succulent. They said it was moving at an incredible pace, sat astride a vehicle like the ones the mechanical invaders had ridden. It was last seen zipping past a dirigible before vanishing into the clouds. Alexandria's soldiers ride on air-wheelers, so unless there's another flying Cactuar out there, I think we have our man. Good work. Almost too good, in fact. Over there. Is that a new case I spy? Hardly had to bait the hook. They're the real deal, alright. Although, come to think of it, I don't know why anyone would bother impersonating either of them to begin with. At least, the lead seems solid enough, but if we're serious about catching this guy, we'll need an air-wheeler of our own. Come on, there's a shop nearby that does the custom jobs. This is the place I used to be a regular here, but I ain't been back in a while. Let's see if they still remember me. Well, look who the wind blew in. Mom, I've come for my steed. That battered old scrap heap? It's been rusting in my garage for so long. I doubt I could manage a slow trot, let alone gallop. Happy to give it a tune-up if your credits to burn, but I'll need you to supply some parts. A new high-voltage battery and a superconductor coil, at a minimum. The chronometer's ticking. I'll see if I can get my hands on a battery, but I can ask you to track down the coil. These soft-boiled dopes wouldn't know a suspension spring from an anti-gravity gimbal, but you can, I trust. I'm on it, detective. Hardiboiled seems desperate to get his air wheeler up and running, so I'll give you a tip. You want a coil like that, then salvaging the rides of defective sentries is your best bet. I've even lent you this handy gadget to help out. Set off the distress signal on the west side of Alexandria, and you'll soon have some murderous mechanical company. I'll take these along with me on the battery hunt. Good luck out there. Here's the distress beacon here. Do we have to fight some monsters? the other side of this? Well, get your hands on the coil. Got your hand on the coil? Yeah, here you go. Hey, that should do the trick. Now where did your mates run off to? Can't be that hard to find a store. What sells batteries? You should probably head over to the Nexus arcade and see what they're up to. Where are you, Hardiboiled? Where is Hardiboiled? It's the merchant vendor. Hello, have you seen a Hardiboiled? No? All my gear doesn't need repairs. That's fine. Hello, has anyone seen Hardiboiled? Oh, there he is. He's looking at the bikes. Adios. Any trouble picking up that coil? Nothing could handle. You couldn't handle it, wager. As for the battery, I bought one easily enough. The problem was convincing the inspector and his gal to stick around after he caught a whiff of tantalizing familiarity. Long story short, they wandered off and I haven't come back. Suppose you ought to go look for them, eh? Is that a corpse? A smiling corpse? Ha ha ha! You need a fret, detective. This dapper zombie is an old acquaintance of mine. Hello, to introduce myself, good sir. I am a proud member of the Gentle Dead Men, a disciple of Master Hildibrand. I've been on the road, seeking out new recruits for our merry, moldering bench, and said search is what brought me here, into the midst of the unexpected, yet most welcome reunion. I don't usually hold with necromancy, but these seem harmless enough. So if you're done catching up, we've got a case to work on. In actual fact, our conversation was almost entirely case-adjacent, employing his nose for festering fellows. This gentle zombie traced a stench of a necromantic decay to the very facility in which I once slumbered. Yet, yes, I became fast friends with one of the reanimated researchers there. During the process of getting to know each other, he spoke briefly of the only person left alive after the incident. According to my new charnel germ, all the lab workers perished when an accident resulted in leakage of a highly toxic substance. All that is, save for a single man who habitually wore a protective gas mask. Kushkai is his name. He was second in charge after the overseer himself, yet disdained by his peers as a condescending know-it-all. They did, however, begrudgingly recognize his passion for his work. Even after devoting a full day to official experiments, he would pour his remaining time and energy into some mysterious side project. And he was the sole surviving researcher, you say? Sounds like we finally have a name for our mastermind. Courtesy of shambling undead, no less. No matter how many years I do this job, well, thanks for that. Glad to be of service. Now, if you'll excuse me, my new recruit and I have a cafe tour planned. So, that fellow was an honest-to-God's walking corpse, I've met weird folks in my line of work, but do you always keep company with such oddballs? That was out of line. It's just, I reckon there are forces in this world you're better off not messing with. Anyway, let me take these parts back to Monmon and get that wheeler repaired. Shouldn't take too long. I'll ride him back here to make sure he's running smoothly, and you can see Magnificent Beast in all his glory. Detective Hildibrand seems somewhat nervous. Hardiboiled seems somewhat nervous, excited to reclaim his pride and joy, perhaps. Car, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Wow. That's a cool bike. What do you think, Patios? I call him the Night Stallion. He's a custom job built for yours truly, and has far too much horsepower for the average monk to handle. Anti-gravity capabilities are standard, but when it comes to ground speed, he's been tweaked to achieve the highest possible performance. The trick is to install quick heating road motor coils. But won't the increased heat compromise the magnetic field integrity? You ask. Well, that's a valid concern. A hotter drivetrain responds completely differently when you open up the throttle and... You get those filthy hands off my ride. I merely taught to enhance your beloved steed with a touch of Salamanderville. So, you've had this amazing machine this whole time. Why haven't you been riding it until now? so fresh-faced innocent, the spitting image of my assistant. I'll never forget the day I hung up my spurs. It was right after I'd caught Carnelian. I'd been simmering in the thoughts of vengeance, fit to burst my shell any moment. The big house is too good for the likes of the Crime King. See you in hell, your majesty. Should have pulled the trigger when you had the chance. You've gone soft, Hardiboiled. This flashback exceeds the legal length. Laced with illicit embellishments, no doubt. Wrap it up, Gumshoe. Cut the chase. My assistant was avenged. Slinging the Crime King into the slammer took me off the boil, and riding cold just ate my style. But now that the Carnelian's on the street again, it's time for me to get back in the saddle. They were saying that Cactuar flew over to the Yule whatever, then blew past the dirigible on his way south, right? What kind of territory are we looking at? Lots of big trees, are there? Then let's make this Yucktail's dirigible landing out our starting point. I'll take Night Stallion there and meet you there. Right. We shall find our way to this cocktail dirigible landing. See you there.
I'm pretty sure it was Yucktails, Inspector.
Oh, you made it. Even this jaded old gumshoe had to appreciate the view coming in over the treetops. Anyway, I talked to the locals while waiting for you lot to arrive, and one fellow had seen Mr. Cactuar flying down to the lower forests. I'm told the biggest place out that way is a settlement called Mamook. So that'll be our first destination. Let's head over there, walk the streets, ask some questions, you know, the usual. Very good, Detective. But what's become of our wondrous wheeler? Knight's talent would draw more attention than I like. I'll use the autopilot function to call him if I need him, but otherwise I'll make do with my own 2 feet. That must be Mamook. They build things different down here, huh? But we ain't got the time to admire the architecture. Spread out and find someone who's clapped eyes on that Cactuar. Let's go. Time to look for answers in Mamook. Marilja. Yes,
I've encountered the fiends you described. The force has its share of fantastical creatures, but this one was undoubtedly out of place. I observed it smashing one of the giant meteorites with a club, then racing away with broken pieces. Make of that what you will.
broken meteorite. Interesting. So maybe he's looking for meteor pieces or something? Like meteorite pieces? Hello.
Why, yes, I did see an unusual creature riding a strange vehicle through the forest at breakneck speeds. The vehicle's terrible noise is what first drew my attention, followed by the incomprehensible yelling of its pilot. Yet the sight of its poor-strength man-plant was so absurd I found myself more bemused than frightened. The subject of recent gossip. I crossed paths with the creature myself, and it was indeed odd, but the machine it rode upon was true wonder. He pulled up alongside me and my right, challenged us to a race, then zoomed off with astounding swiftness. If you're planning to catch that fiend, you'll need an equally miraculous mount. So what's the rap? The testimonies I gathered were very much the same. There is a Cactuar racing around out there, that much can be certain. But if he's making stops to back meteorite fragments, then this ain't no simple joyride. Talk to me, Patios. Something about those rocks I ought to know. Some kind of special etheric radiation, eh? We haven't pieced together Kashkai's big plan yet, but he seems real interested in those space stones. Which means we've got a good chance of finding his spiky goon by staking out the spots where the meteorites are. If we nab the Cactuar, we can make him lead us to the researcher and to Cardinalian. When I say us, I mean the Night Stallion, of course. Once we find him, the rest of you won't be giving chase without an air-wheeler. I need no such contrivances. These legs have been conditioned by the intensive chocobo-bearing exercise regiment. Well, good luck to them. Still think he's a weak-willed punk, but I can't deny that uncanny body of his is made of sterner stuff. Yeah. Let's go on with it then. I hear there's a few good-sized meteorites alongside the road that leads us out of town. We'll start at the near end and hope the mook puts an appearance. no ear-wheeler Cactuar around here. Let's move on. Oh, that idiot inspector took off like he had the case all swoon up. We were running fast, didn't find him any leads. Did it? And here I thought he was onto something. Dawi Nashu, I think I may be onto something. No sign of him either. On to the next meteorite. Let's go. I detect a hint of criminality in that direction. Onwards, Nashu. We mustn't let the detective beat us to the punch. Look up. Stand aside, or it's the 1,000 needles in your hide. Make way for the unmatchable Spike. This one looks ripe for smashing. Hold it right there. I'm gonna need you to hop off that air wheeler. Oh, you must be the blowhards I was warned about. Think you can give orders to secure the speedster? My ride is maxed out with black market mods, and there ain't no one faster. Keep it up if you can, slowpokes. If that's the way it's gotta be, challenge accepted. Dude and me, Night Stallion, it's time to burn rubber. I'm right behind you. And I'm right behind you too, Inspector. Yeah. Damn it, the stallion's at full gallop and I'm still trailing. It would seem you require my assistance after all. What the? You caught me on foot? Fine, change of plans. Wait, what? Where's my damn python? I'll just tweak this weapon's element settings like so. If you're staring at me providing the trust, that fiend will soon learn a harsh lesson. Nothing outruns a fired-up Matterfield man. They're actually gaining on me. Come on then, I feel the needle for speed. We did it. Victory is ours. And we crash. I can't believe it. My undefeated record, my legendary win streak, it's over. And yet I feel strangely content. Enough. You win. Just hand me over to the coppers and be done with it. So the researcher forced you to work for him, like he did with the other fiends. 'Twas right. He told me to smash and grab the meteorites from the forest, but not what he wanted them for. All this way to nab some delinquent goon and no leads on Keshkai or Carnelian to show for it. Not to mention my beautiful ride getting trashed. That one's on you, Hildibrand. Perhaps we can try running together next time. Oh, if you're looking for Keshkai, I know exactly where he'll be, waiting for my meteorite delivery over by the cliffs southwest of here. Why did you say so sooner? I bet Carnelian is there with him. He won't escape me this time. I leave this criminal Cactuar in your custody. Fiendish appears aside. This man's soul within, so please stream to him accordingly. Now, let us follow, detective, to the cliffs, shall we? I must ensure these villains serve a gentleman's justice. I can hear them just up ahead. Let me get the drop on them before we go all barging in. He's late. We must assume something went wrong. These meteorites would provide the perfect energy source, and I would prefer to harvest a surplus, but it is too great a risk to linger here. Freeze, mage. You so much as twitch your lips, and I'll light you up. No, I've worked too hard to give up now. He's getting away. He'll keep. I've got the one I want. But don't think I'm taking you in just so you can escape. Never again. Murder is not the answer, detective. But where did Carnelian go? You almost had me, if not for this bubbling fool you tolerate. Soft as ever.
You and me are done, Hildibrand. Stay out of my way.
My recent inadequacies as an inspector appear to have earned the detective's ire. 'Twas you he returned for assistance with this case, Patios. It is only fitting that you remain at his side for the duration. Meanwhile, Nash and I shall persist with our independent inquiries. Sorry for the sudden exit back there, but that yoke for braids had me steaming. Hildibrand only wants to help. That's the problem. His help ain't nothing but a hindrance. For the love, I see you skulking over there, soft-boiled. Isn't it a delightful spot for serendipity? We were simply following the villain's trail, and look how we've all run into each other, completely by chance. Well, we were only passing through after all. We shall apprehend that masked mastermind with our own tried and true mythology, you shall see. Patios, I want you on the case with me from here on out. When it comes to a proper guide beyond the dome, as well as being tougher than yours truly, no one else fits the bill. You might need to cool your heels for a bit while I work on salvaging more data, but Hardiboiled always gets his files in the end. I'll see you around. Meanwhile, elsewhere. At long last, my scheme has come to fruition. No longer must I endure the company of incompetent colleagues. All is readiness. The replication of my brilliant mind is at hand. Never again will I be known as Caniloca Corpus Second Best. My name shall ring across the lands, carried far and wide by an army of unrivaled geniuses. Something amusing? Oh, just the fact that you repaired a device capable of miracles, yet your plans for it are so very banal. You dare mock me? What bore he was. Now to realize a dream worthy of this marvelous technology. Detective Hardiboiled, they called me. Cool and tough as a cotton cumber wrapped in old leather. I'm a man who prefers his own company. Today's egg was overdone. I let the pot boil and boil, a match to my mood. They say you can't make a cracked shell whole again. Maybe it's time I smashed it completely. Core, those are some troubling thoughts. Can anyone save Detective Hardiboiled from himself? I bet the inspector can. With us on the case, a happy ending is never far away. See you next time, Inspector. Alright, we finished this. Next time we're gonna check out the new variant dungeon. I'll go check out what the new variant dungeon is next time. See you next time on Final Fantasy XIV Online Dawn Trail.